welcome to livingthegoodlifepodcast.com. That's our website address. Or no, I think we have to put RI in there too, don't we?
I'm not sure. I don't believe so. I think it's livingthegoodlifepodcast.com. You're Steve Cass and I'm Deb Moraes. How's that for a
Yes,
start?
I know that. All right. We have some incredibly talented guests today. And there was a story in the Providence Journal back on October 19th with a big headline page, Dentist, Barrington woman provides life-saving nose job to peregrine falcon. I love that headline. I went bananas. I said, I got to look at this.
It definitely captured attention.
And
So
while working toward a degree in dentistry, dentist Rachel Gilardetti never thought she'd someday use her skills in a life-saving procedure on the broken beak of a peregrine falcon that made the mistake of flying into the side of Rhode Island Hospital. That's not a good idea. But
don't recommend.
Dentists sometimes work on animals, and I'm sure our guest has done that before. But birds are different. They don't have teeth, said the doctor. And Dr. Gilardi is, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing her name.
yes,
Okay.
Dr. Rachel
is with
Gilardetti.
us now.
And
And
also,
also, we have Sita Soleimani. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yeah, Shada.
Okay.
Jada, we're
And
so happy.
She heads up the Congress of the Birds, which is an amazing organization, and we'll hear from her on that. So let me welcome, first of all, the good doctor, Dr.
Gilardetti, you are having trouble with that name
Okay.
today.
All my patients have issues saying my name, so they all call me Dr. J.
Well, I'm a professional. I shouldn't have
Dr.
that problem. But anyway,
Oh dear.
nice
We're
to
so
have you with us, doctor.
Thank you.
So is this the first peregrine falcon you've ever worked on?
Yes, actually. I've been volunteering at the clinic for a year, so we've been seeing a whole variety of different birds, but the peregrine falcon was my first.
So how did all this get together? I mean, who called you when and why?
So Shada posted it on our group text message board with the peregrine falcon with the that had a broken beak, and we were trying to brainstorm ways of how to fix it. And she reached out to some avian rehabbers, I believe it was in Missouri or Minnesota, who said the best materials are actually dental acrylic and bonding. And so she immediately reached out to me and asked if I could do this. And I said, absolutely. And an interesting fact about Beaks is it contains something called hydroxyapatite, which has calcium and phosphate in it. And those are actually the components that make up our teeth. So the materials I used, which is specifically a dental composite, it's what you would use if you get a cavity. It bonds chemically to the tooth. So we figured, if it works on teeth, it's made out of hydroxyapatite, it should work on the beak. And it did.
So
Yeah.
you said, yes, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of, I have to ask, so it's kind of interesting that Shada's the one who first finds out that there is a falcon in distress, I guess. And that in itself is an interesting story because apparently while it was hitting it flew into the Rhode Island Hospital building and you find out it's tagged and they get to you. How does that story even happen, Shada?
So my phone number is public and I know Rhode Island DEM, the Department of Environmental Management, quite well. And so whenever they find an injured bird, they call me. And so 2 Rhode Island DEM officers had been notified about this falcon that had hit the side of Rhode Island Hospital. And they called me and they're like, hey, are you able to intake this falcon? And most of the time we get calls about birds that people say are falcons or hawks, and they end up being like pigeons or doves. Like people like, yeah, all the time. I mean, like people don't really know their birds. So when they first called me and they said we have a, peregrine falcon, I was like, okay, if it's a falcon, it probably has tags on it, especially in Providence because of the Superman building. all of the local falcons are actually banded with federal as well as Audubon bands. And so I just kind of asked them the question. I was like, does the bird have bands on it? And they said, yeah, on both ankles. And I was like, wow, sounds like it is a falcon. So they dropped it off to our Providence location of the clinic, which is when we noticed that the beak was severely split.
And you said, we're going to try to do this, right?
I never turned down a case. We always want to give every single bird the best chance that it can have. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the times when these animals come into our care, they are so injured that we unfortunately have to make the call to humanely euthanize because it's not
Oh, that must be awful. That
it's
must
heartbreaking. But in this case, I was like, you know what? Before I make any calls, you know, a lot of rehabbers are parts of kind of like networks and forums. And so I reached out to a few friends that are directors at other centers. And I reached out to the World Bird Center in St. Louis, Missouri, because they recently had a case with a bald eagle whose beak had been shot with a BB gun pellet. And it like clean broke the beak right off at the top. It was a really severe injury. And they've had success over the past year. This eagle has been regrowing its beak. And so when I talked to their director, she actually joked with me. She's like, do you happen to know an adventurous dentist? And I was like, well, I do. And she said, well, that might be your best answer.
That's great. So the two of you got together where, in Barrington, and started doing this, or how did the rest of that play out?
It was in Chepachet. That's where the rehab clinic is.
So Steve was asking about that process and I interrupted. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. I'm glad you did. Because, you know, that was all in the story in the Projo, which we've had the good fortune to read. And those of you listening, of course, are just hearing this, many of you maybe for the very first time. I mean, I'm an animal rights nut. I've always loved animals from the time I was 5 or 6. And I got involved on the radio in many animal rescue situations. I once actually, in my office, took in a great horned owl who was injured and rehabbed the owl in my office.
No way.
Over about 10 days. And the owl we got him back to where he could fly, and off he went. And we became very friendly, actually. We talked to each other. And it was really a great experience. But I love to do stuff like that. I've rescued many horses who were ruined in racetracks and sent to the killer, the horse meat guy, with a bad leg. And I was able to get them away from that and put up the horses on a farm in South County, and we saved about 9 of them.
Oh,
And that was fun. So I've had, and then of course I went after Ringling Brothers, and we stopped them from having elephants in the circus, because to train an elephant to enjoy having a monster like a lion or a tiger on its back, elephants don't like that. In order to get them to do it, they beat them with baseball bats. And when I have video of that, I managed to put an end to that finally over, and they agreed to stop it.
Good.
And I think all other animals as well. So I've had some fun, and I didn't do anything as dramatic as fixing a damaged beak on a peregrine falcon, but God bless you, doctor. That was tremendous.
Let's hear how you did it. I want to hear how she did it. I know you started to talk
Very carefully.
Yeah, I can go into technicalities in it. So when you go into a dental office and you have a cavity, they drill it, they clean it out. And if they're doing something with a composite material, which is a resin material, the first layer they put on is a bonding solution. And what that does, it chemically adheres to the tooth. So with the beak, after we cleaned it off, made sure there was no bleeding, because these materials you wouldn't want to put on any live tissue. It'd only be on the keratin or the outer layer of the beak. I had Shada kind of hold the pieces in place, and I applied the bonding material. And if you've ever been to a dental office, they'll have a blue light, and that's what's used to cure or harden that layer. So then after that, we use the composite material, and it's white, and it almost has a consistency of putty. And then that bonds to also the tooth structure and to that bonding, that resin layer. So when I was doing some research about what, beaks are made out of, and I saw that there's that hydroxyapatite is in it, which is what our teeth are made out of. I figured it would work. And so far it has. We were there on Friday taking a look at it, and it's been going great.
Yeah. And we
So
can
Rachel-
actually see that it's regrowing underneath already, which is great progress.
Yeah. Yeah. So we removed the first band or stent with the composite because it was growing out actually quicker than what we thought. And then we reapplied a new one as the beak is growing. Because something I didn't realize is that the beak grows from the base, from the skull, not from the tip. So
Oh.
if you see in the photos, the beak's tip was very blunted and sharp, but I added the composite or bonding material to it to kind of make a pointed beak. And when I first did that, I was kind of concerned. I thought, oh, is this going to affect the growing? And it's not. It's because it grows from the base of the skull.
That's interesting. So what I had read was that the actual process that you started was 35 minutes or so. But then I also read this whole process will be taking, I believe you said 9 months or something because of that growth, but it does regenerate from the beak out, and then all that you've put on it comes off. Is that
It
what
kind
happens?
of it can come off and then we reapply it. So it's basically also shaping and guiding the growth pattern. So kind of think, let's say if you you stub your toe and the underlying nail comes off and then there's a nail bed. Sometimes what happens is the new nail growth kind of comes off a little jagged or roughed. So the same thing happens with keratin on the bird's beak. So the material helps guide it to make it like into what the anatomy of the beak was before.
That's really cool. So you've got a little artistic element here too.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's actually a lot of artistic elements in dentistry because it involves using your hands, working with a lot of different materials. In dental school, we had one class where we would do like wax ups. We use wax and make models of different teeth. So
That's interesting.
Now, where is the falcon now?
So he's
it's in Chepachet right now.
Yeah,
So he hasn't been set free yet.
he won't
No.
be for the next 9 months. At
Yeah.
least
How many months?
9.
months.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Shada, this is
Now-
interesting. You've got the Congress of the Birds, so we have to go here. We know you've got the peregrine falcon. I think there's a story that you're going to tell us about a puffin, but do you have a puffinry there? Do you have an exaltation of larks? Do you have
An Atlantic puff.
what's in the Congress of Birds in Chepachet right now?
So Chepachet is, we actually just opened a clinic location in Chepachet, which is our long-term care center for all of our birds. So Providence remains our 24-hour triage center where birds, can arrive at any time of day and I will intake them and triage them. But after they're stabilized for long-term care, we move them to Chepachet, which is our new clinic. So we have a state-of-the-art clinic there with specialty rooms for different species, as well as 4 release enclosures on 45 acres of outdoor property where these birds it's pretty remarkable. These birds get flight conditioning before they're released. And so that's the same kind of plan for the falcon. Right now, he's still, his beak is still painful, so he's remaining inside. He gets pain meds twice a day. He's finished his course of antibiotics. And probably in about a week or 2, we're in the process of finishing an outdoor enclosure for him, and he will be moving outdoors, which is where he'll spend the next 8 or 9 months at least as his beak grows in. So with long-term patients like these, we really can just use as much help as we can get because the cost of caring for these guys is just so exorbitantly high.
Yeah.
But, we're dedicated to their care. So obviously we're going to give him all the time he needs.
So tell us a little bit about the Congress of the Birds and how people can either learn more about what you do, where you are, donate, volunteer. Tell us
all of the above would be really incredible. We're always taking volunteers. We do trainings 4 times in the spring. So if you're interested in learning how to feed baby birds and being part of our summer rehab team, you could reach out to us at congressofthebirds@gmail.com. If you want to visit our website, just learn a little bit more about us, you could visit us at congressofthebirds.org. And if you have any questions or if you ever find an injured bird, you can call us directly. And our phone number is listed on our website. And then as far as donations go, we could find donation links through our website as well. We have an Amazon wish list where you can buy supplies for the birds. And right now we're in our year-end giving kind of campaign. So before the end of the year, we're actually trying to raise at least $50,000 to help, you know, for the care of the birds in the next season. This year, we went over like $100,000 just purchasing food for all of the birds, medicine for the birds, and building species-specific enclosures to make sure that they had suitable, you know, spaces in their time in rehab.
That's
One
amazing.
thing I didn't mention yet, but Dr. Gilardetti is a licensed wildlife rehabilitator.
That's right.
Yeah,
She
just
just
became
passed
one.
her
Yeah.
That's amazing.
How do you become one of those? Is that a Shada story or is that a Rachel
I
story?
didn't know you needed a license, but anyway.
So you, it's through the IWRC. You take a wildlife training course. It can be a weekend long, and there's homework involved, and which I'm used to being in dental school. And we had to take an exam for that, and in order to take that exam, I had to take a state exam for Rhode Island, and then basically have like a rehab clinic sponsor me or vouch for me, which was Shada.
That's-
Yeah.
So
And then
what-
just to kind of tag on like with the Atlantic puffin, we just actually recently released it. And it was our first time rehabilitating a puffin. And puffins are a vulnerable species now, like their populations are declining. And I believe there's only just one colony, which is in Maine. And it was kind of interesting. It flew off course, probably from the storm, and ended up in someone's backyard in Rentham. And it took a lot of, you know, time and money to really get the puffin to become healthy again. But we have this giant tub in the bathroom that's see-through, and we like filled it with water, put a bunch of fish in it. It was really fun watching it dive down and get the fish. It was fun. So if anyone wants to come in and even like just check out the place, you know, it's great. We have great horned owls, red-tailed hawks, European starlings, tons of songbirds. I believe this summer, I think we got about 1,700 birds, right?
Yeah, we're about to hit 2,000 and the year isn't even done yet.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Did you have any idea about that number, Steve? I mean, that is unbelievable. I thought you maybe meant 10, 15. Oh my gosh. So you actually have an education center there and not a museum, but actually something that would be wonderful for people to learn about and maybe get more interested in that is just amazing.
When do you find time, doctor, to do this?
What?
When do you find the time to do all this?
So I don't know. I mean, I don't make plans with my friends, I guess. I don't know. I prefer to be at the clinic, I guess.
Rather do that than pull teeth?
Pardon?
Rather do that than tend to.
No, I love pulling teeth. It's my favorite thing to do. But yeah, you can if your heart is in it, you can have time to do anything.
That's true.
That's true. It's amazing. Amazing story.
We should also ask, so as busy as Shada may be with the Congress of the Birds, you have a life outside that I understand, or I heard just a little birdie named Rachel mention earlier that you're an artist. Tell us a little bit about that. What's your medium? What do you do?
So what really got me into doing the birds was my mother. We're political refugees from Iran, and she used to be a nurse back in our home country. So my artwork is very much about their background and, you know, the political history that is kind of shaping what's happened between the United States and Iran for, you know, the past century. So my artwork is exhibited internationally in museums, publications. I often am a correspondent for the New York Times and do stories for them. And then outside of that, I'm an associate professor at Brandeis University. So all three of these worlds just kind of are combined together because there's no use in separating them at this point. They all inform one another.
That's amazing. Do you have a website for your artwork or what you do? Okay.
Yeah. It's just sheidasoleimani.com, or you could just Google search my name. It's SheidaSoleimani.
Perfect. Wow. This has been enlightening on so many fronts.
Well, thanks so much for having us. We're so,
Well,
happy to
this has
chat
been
about-
incredible. I'm so glad I saw that article in the newspaper.
And we hope
I
we have
couldn't
more
wait. I
conversations.
couldn't wait to call the doctor. And
Thank
she
you.
said yes.
That's right.
And Sheida's story is terrific. Thank you both so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I think we need to check back in, if not in 9 months, maybe 3 months, just to get a progress report and hope
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
it go well.
And you're always welcome to come in and check it out too. Check out the clinic. So there's always someone there.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
when we end up writing a little note or two about this, we'll add that. That sounds terrific.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Rachel and Sheida. This has just been wonderful.
Awesome.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So while they're signing off, that has been a great opportunity to tell people about the wonders of Congress of the Birds. I'm so glad that they were with us, Cass. That's great. So I think in our next segment, if we're going to call it that, I don't know that there's an even segue, but while we talk about all things that are living the good life, podcast.com, or just living the good life, one of the things that I had read last week that I shared with you, I think we should talk about just a little bit because it's impactful. We know that people use social media. We know that there are so many people using e-commerce. We know about Square and Venmo and how to buy things through e-commerce mechanisms. What I didn't realize is that there's this thing that's called buy now, pay later. And that buy now, pay later has been such a magnet for people to not only shop and buy, but buy and put themselves in a world of hurt and debt. What do you think about that, Cass?
I think people don't realize how expensive that can be. And, and they make it sound so easy and wonderful. No problem. But and some folks just can't control themselves by, making one purchase after another, and they accept it. And when you finally get the bill, you want to jump out of a window. They don't represent the facts, which is really the problem.
That's exactly it. I know that after we followed up on this, we saw that the buy now, pay later, it said it's interest-free financing. Yeah, but not for the rest of your mortal life. And it quickly can go up to as much as 36%. So whatever you bought, you'd be paying off or putting yourself into debt for who knows how long for no apparent reason. And I guess while many people have benefited from it, once it says almost half of the Americans have used BNPL once in their life. I suppose there's not harm in that. But if you use that as a way of shopping and buying every little luxury item that your heart and mind could have imagined, I can't imagine. Now, when they're saying that there's $2 billion of debt just from these buy now, pay later plans. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And Klarna, I guess, is the one that has been enticing younger people through TikTok. Buy now, you can have it, even when you shouldn't have it because you just can't afford it. What a shame. It's a shame.
Oh, you mean you have to afford paying for these things?
Yes.
That's a new concept, isn't it?
Do you remember, well, maybe some of our viewers, listeners remember, there was a thing called layaway. You'd buy it in a way, but you'd leave it at the place and you'd pay weekly, monthly, or whatever you did. And you did it mostly, I guess, before the holidays. And then you paid it off, you picked it up, and you took it home. But it didn't encourage you to buy more things that you never needed, shouldn't have, at least not at that time. I love immediate gratification as much as the rest of them, but boy, how many people that we're reading about in these stories that are saying that they're absolutely put in debt, bankruptcy. It's just such a shame. It's such a shame.
You have to wonder that with our state of education today in this country, how many young people don't understand finances at all. And they have no idea what awaits them.
I know.
And I find that hard to believe, but it's obviously very true. I would say $1 billion. $1 billion.
Couple of billion. The lure of easy money, of being able to have luxury things that you really shouldn't have. I guess that there's a little bit of intrigue about, see how easy it's just a click away. And that impulse buy, we're not talking about impulse buy at a grocery store when you buy extra Tic Tacs. They're talking about people buying Hermes bags that could put you in debt on a meager salary for quite some time, put you out of business, we were hearing and reading that people lost their homes because they couldn't pay their mortgages and the rest. It's just selling a lifestyle that's above your means. I understand why people do it, but it's just so sad to hear that it's taken such a hold of people who want to use TikTok and think that they can have everything when they probably should hit that pause button for a moment.
Well, we may have to go back to the education topic one more time, huh?
Well, yes. Well, wasn't there a thought that you shouldn't even use a credit card? You should only buy in cash. That's gone. Those days are gone. People don't even buy cash. They only use a card. They mostly use it as debit card. And if you're only swiping a card, it's easy enough, I suppose, to lose track of how much is being subtracted from your bank account all day, all night, for weeks and months, until you figure out that you are in debt and you're overdrafts, and then you go to card. Oh my goodness, it just spirals out of control, and it's sad to hear that. Viewers, listeners, it's hard, but pay attention. It's so sad.
How do you really feel?
Oh my goodness, it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. I know they say that a lot of younger people are doing it because they're not quite into the working force when they're out of college, and they want to have the best and be able to go to the nicest parties wearing the haute couture, and they really just shouldn't. Anyway, don't buy now, pay later. Buy it later when you can afford it, or put it on a layaway plan. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to get
changing it to buy it and pay for it.
Yes, that's a good
How's that? There's a different concept.
So in living the good life, I think I just got on a soapbox, which I rarely do, but this one was heartbreaking to me.
Well said, and you did a great job with it.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
I hope at least some folks listened and will take your advice.
Think twice, right? Well, I think that wraps up another segment of Living the Good Life podcast.com. We thank you for tuning in and listening to some of our good news and a little bit of bad news. So stay tuned. We're going to have more of both next time.
The real important story is we hope the Patriots win again.
Yes, we do hope.
We're on a roll.
Okay. I'm Deb Moraes, and I'm out. And you're
I'm Steve Cass, and we're out together.
We're both out. Bye. Thank you for tuning in.